Hi everyone. So thanks for showing up today. So for today we are going to explore the quizzes that we were supposed to do. Thereafter, I'm going to do a walkthrough of those two labs. So yeah, like I said, there's a working process for us to get our quick lab credits, but it may take a while. So I suppose maybe in the middle of next month, in the middle of this month, we should be able to get our free credits for 1 month, and you can practice with it even after the bootcamp. You would have it for 30 days, which is fine. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you can't see my screen or anything. Can you also see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Great. So we'll start from resources and access in the cloud. Just we take this so that we can go over it together. So for the first one, for the first question, what is the difference between identity and access management basic rules and identity and access management predefined rule? So the meaning of a basic rule is just the rules that are given. So all these basic rules, they are too permissive. So they are not the best type of identity and access management you want to use, because sometimes they give someone too much access. So they are just like editor, admin, and maybe viewer. So those kind of rules are too permissive. So you want to make sure that you give someone only the amount of role that is needed to operate on a particular resources, and not just editor or admin, and starts and the person is able to edit a whole lot of things. So it's a good strategy to only give access to only a particular service that you want the person to be able to edit. So that's basic rule. So predefined rules are rules that are set already by Google. So if you have a particular user that fits into those categories or that fits into those allowances for that role, then you can give that person a predefined role. So for this question, the major difference between a basic role and a predefined role, can tell us, anybody? Who wants to go for it? Yeah, so I can't see if your hand is raised. You can just unmute your mic and talk if you want to answer it.
Basic rules affect all the resources in the cloud projects, and predefined rules only apply to specific services.
Yeah, so that's correct. So basic rules, like I said, they are too permissive. So they more of like affect all the resources in the Google Cloud project. But for predefined rule, they are a little bit more specific. So I'm also going to choose that. That's the major difference. For this one, basic allow viewing, creating, and deleting resources. Predefined will allow any modification. That's not correct. Basic will only apply to the owner of the Google Cloud project. That's also not correct. Predefined role can be associated with any user. Yes, this part is correct, but the first one is not correct. Basic role can only be granted to a single user. Predefined role can be associated with a group. So you can also grant basic role to a group of users also. So this is the most correct. Sorry. How does the resource hierarchy control how IAM policies are inherited? So I'm just going to answer this one so that we can go fast. So for the resource hierarchy, what it does is that all Google Cloud resources are associated with a project. So let's okay, just say sure. How does resource hierarchy control how? Yeah, are you raising up your hand? Go ahead. Okay, sorry. So for this, the answer is the lower level policies. So the lower level policies takes it overrides the policies defined at an higher level. So the reason between this is that when you look at the resource hierarchy, there's like there's an organization, there's a project level, there's a folder level, and resources level. So if you set a permission on top, if you set a permission to a higher level, let's say you set a permission to edit at the project level, and you set a permission to view at a resource level. So the one that is closest to it, which is the lower level, which is the view, it takes precedence over the higher one, which is editing on the project level. So that is this one. So IAM policies in the lower level can override the policies defined at higher level. So that's the logic bit. That's how resources are inherited, basically. For the third question, your company has two Google Cloud projects and you want to share policies. What is the least error-prone way to set this up? So the least error-prone way is to put both projects in a folder and define policies on that folder. So this means that when you set those two projects together in a folder and you make policies on that folder, so in that case, you're not doing it repetitively, you're just doing it on any policies you set on that folder goes to those two projects in the folder. Exactly. So that's a least error prone way. And the next one, consider a single hierarchy of Google Cloud resource. Which of these situations is possible? So among all the situations that are here, there are three that are logical. So going by the first one, there are two or more organization nodes. So you cannot have two or more organization in a project. You can only have one organization in a project. So the next one, there are no organization mode there, but there are at least one folder. So this is also correct. So you may decide not to use an organization, but you must but you can have a folder in your GCP. So the next one, there is an organization node and there are no folder. So this is also correct. There's an organization and you may now have folder. For the third one, there's an organization node and there's at least one folder. There is an organization node and there's at least one folder. I think this is correct also, but I'm going to tick out this. So saying there is no organization node, there's at least one folder does not work because the folder more of like inherits from the organization. But for this last one, there's no organization and there's no folder. This is also correct. So there can be a case where there's no organization and there's no folder. But when you have an organization, more often than not, you would have a folder. So for the next one, when would you choose to have an organization node? So there are sometimes these are the reasons why you want to have an organization node. First is when you want to apply organization-wide policy, which fits with this one. Then when you also want to create a folder. So to create a folder, it's always good to have an organization. So you can just set an organization, let's say the name of your organization, and you can create a folder for each department, maybe human resource, engineering, sales. You can create folders for them, and in those folders, you can now create a project. So select the options that display IAM roles from general to specific. So general means that are very accommodating to specific, the one that is very, very restrictive. So from general to specific, that basic role. Beside basic role are the one that are like too accommodating. Then we have predefined role, then we have custom role. So custom role is the best because when you have a project or when you are doing anything, it's best to use the principle of least privilege. The principle of least privilege means you are only assigning to someone the needed permission. The needed permission is supposed to have to perform a particular task. So you don't want to over permit someone when what he only needs to work on a task is just a little bit of permission, so that it can reduce phishing or it can reduce security breakthrough. For number 7, which way of accessing Google Cloud lets you control services through the code you write? So this is quite easy. This is the APIs. The next one, which statements best describe how Google Cloud resources are associated within the resource hierarchy? So that will probably be all Google Cloud resources are associated with a project. So yeah, this all Google Cloud resources, they should be associated with the project. So that's for this. Let's see if we are correct. Okay, that's fine. So anyone who wants to ask any question on the resources and access in Google Cloud before we move to virtual machines? Anyone? You can raise your hand if you have a question. Okay, fine. Let's keep going. So going over virtual machines and network. So I know that this is a little bit tricky, but if you've checked through the videos and you read through the PDFs that are there, then it should simplify it for you. And what I would also say is that maybe when you're answering the quiz and you run into an error or you don't know why a answer is correct, what you can do is you can just pick a keyword from the answer, then search it in the PDF. You can just search it in the PDF, something like this. If I want to know if this is correct, then I can just search for VPC in the PDF, and I'll see, and it will take me to the part where VPC occurred in that particular document, and from that way I can see what is actually correct or what is wrong. So for this, select the true statement about Google's VPC network and subnets. So one thing about Google VPC network is that VPC network are global. So they are global. They are available to everyone across the globe. But the subnets are regional because the subnet spans different zones in a region. It spans different zone in a region. So the correct answer is network are global, while subnets are regional. So you cannot say subnet. You cannot say subnet as zonal. If you say subnet as zonal, then you're restricting it because it also goes to the regional level. Networks are global, subnet are regional. For this, which interconnect option is a service level agreement available for? So to answer this, I'll just go over each and every one of them. So for career pairing, how career pairing works is that it enables us to have like a direct access from our on-premise network to a service provider network. So let's say I want to connect to Google Cloud. Then I'm connecting from my on-premise network to a service provider, maybe a ISP or maybe just any service provider that I'm using to connect to Google Cloud Network. So that's what they call a carrier pairing. And this does not have any SLA. So it does not have any SLA because that's because when you're connecting over another service provider, it's not Google does not have control over how fast it is or if there's a phishing in between when you're connecting from your on-premise network to their own. So Google cannot cater for that security at that particular time because it has not got into their network. So there's no SLA on it. For dedicated interconnect, the way dedicated interconnect works is that it allows for one or more direct and private connections to Google. So that is that's a Google network. So that's what I mean when I say Google. So this has an SLA because you are connecting directly to the Google network service, and it's something they can control. So there's an SLA which covers this. So this is probably our answer here. But for direct pairing, how direct pairing works is when you have a router in in a public data center, and those public data centers are not connected to Google's point of presence. So Google has a point of presence in different region. That's when we talk about all those zones. So they are point of presence. They are point of presence across different places in the continent. So this also does not have a SLA because you are going from a public data center to Google Cloud. So what happened at that particular time is not something they can control. So it does not have an SLA. But for the standard network tier, so this is probably just made up. There's nothing like a standard network tier when you're as an interconnect option. So for the third one, which statement best describe how VPC routers and firewall works? So for this, the correct answer would be one of them is VPC routers are managed by Google and they're like a built-in feature. So if you look at this first one, they're managed by Google, yes. They are managed by Google in virtual machines, and customer cannot modify them. So this is not correct. But if you look at this, they are managed by Google as a built-in feature. Yeah. So when we go to the lab and we create a virtual machines, hopefully part of the lab is to also maybe do a firewall rule or a router. So you'd see that they're actually built-in features. So they are managed by Google in virtual machine, and customers can soon activate them. So this is just similar to this. This is cannot modify, this is can modify. So this is also not correct. This does not best describe it. Customer provision virtual machine and run routers and firewall in them. No. So all the routers and firewall are pre-provisioned by Google. Preemptible virtual machine can offer advantages over a standard compute engine virtual machine. What is a reason customer choose preemptible VM? So if you read the video, if you watch the videos document, you see that preemptible virtual machines, they make it they are like low cost virtual machines, because when you have a preemptible virtual machine, it's more of like you're using a low budget version of a virtual machine. And when someone needs those particular virtual machine, Google will just send you a message. I think they'll probably give you maybe a 1 hour notice. Then after that, they'll just withdraw that virtual machine from you. So the way it works, is that those virtual machines are at a very lower cost. So it's more of like a 90%. You can gain up to 90% reduction in cost when you use a preemptible virtual machine over a standard virtual machine type. And that is why when those resources are needed, they'll just give you a notice, then you can take it away from you. So there's preemptive virtual machine and there's spot virtual machines. So the major reason for using a preemptive virtual machine is to reduce cost, and they are best for activities that you can start or restart. Like you can stop them and restart from where you stop. So you cannot say you're using a preemptive virtual machine for maybe a payment service, because if it goes off during the particular payment, it's more of like hangs it, and to be reconciling the payment, all those things may be an issue. So it's best for activity that you can stop and continue from where you stop. A Google Cloud customer wants to load balance traffic among the backend virtual machines that forms part of a multi-tier application. Which load balancing option should this customer choose? So because you are doing so when you look at the question, they said load balance traffic among backend VMs. So these backend VMs, they are like within a project. They're like within a project that form a multi-tier application. So the application may be there's a staging, there's a development, there's a production. So that's what this is saying. Which load balancing option should you use? So when it's more often than not within a project or just within a Google Cloud service, more often than not, the answer is the regional internal load balancer. So the regional internal load balancer suffice when it's just within a project. When it's between maybe multiple projects, you want to use like a global HTTPS load balancer, or you want to load balance between a service that is available to people across across the globe, and you have point of presence across the globe also. So the idea of load balancing means sharing. So let's say I have a server, and it has presence in different region. So load balancing helps us to connect the servers or connect the users to the servers closest to them. And when a particular server is maybe almost reaching its capacity, it can load balance the traffic to a server that is free in that particular region, or a server that is not as occupied as the first one. So that's the idea of load balancing. So it's just from the name. Which term describe a secure individual private cloud computing model hosted within a public cloud? So that's a virtual private cloud. VPCs are the secure individual private cloud computing model, and that we use on public cloud. So this domain name system It's just is in a domaining network. This content delivery network is also something about network, and VPN are just like the normal VPN when you want to connect with when you want to connect between maybe a instance on Google Cloud or with an external application. So it's good to make sure the connection is via a VPN so that people cannot access into your service during transmission. So that's all for this. Let's check if we are correct. Okay. So we are also correct here. So you can take a look at it. And so some of them even as comments in between to learn more. So that's regarding that. So is it fine to say we've completed these three parts? We've completed virtual machines in Google Cloud, resources and access, and we've also completed the introductory parts. Any questions on those three sections before we move into working on the labs? Any questions, guys? Yeah, so if you are good to go, you can do maybe a thumbs up. Going to do one. Oh, great, great. Yeah, can see your hands. Yeah, fine. Shows that we are following. Great. So I'm going to start from the first lab, which is the Google Cloud Fundamental, getting started with Cloud Marketplace. So if you all have maybe watched the videos, you could have seen what we want to do, but I'm also going to do it once again. So these labs are just quite basic, and it will give you an idea of how the Google Cloud platform works. So the first thing I want to do is start the lab. Hope you all can see my screen because I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah, we can see it here.
Yes,
Yes,
We can
yes,
see
sir.
it.
we can see your screen.
We can.
Okay, okay, okay. So I see something now that my quota has been
Yes, we can see it.
um mm, uh, yeah, sorry for that, guys. So there was like a background noise coming, and I don't want it to disturb you. So my quota has been exceeded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chat with the support and see if they can help me refresh my quota. I'll do that just now, but maybe I'll just jump to the other labs. So this is also how you can do it. Yeah, chat is enough. So I'm just going to you just see that it's something that is quite easy to do. You just tell them that, oh, hello, um, my quota exceeded this lab. Kindly help refresh. So you don't need to. You can copy the name of the lab also. So hopefully, there's not too many people on the queue, and they can answer me as soon as possible. Okay, they'll probably answer me anytime soon. Yeah, it's even good that you guys saw all this, so that in case if you also exceed your quota for a lab, they can easily help you maybe refresh it. If you have any question, you can answer while the person reply. Okay. Yeah, Joyce is a
Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry. Good evening. Thank you so much for the lecture so far. But I just want to know, this one is just a quick one. How did you know that you had exceeded your quota? Because I looked at the screen, I didn't see anything like that.
Okay, so you can do a lab 5 times before you meet your quota. So I've probably done this lab more than 5 times. So that's
So,
why. So when I want to do it the 6th time, so when I clicked on it, it showed a red pop off just below that
oh,
you
oh,
exceeded your quota. So you probably could not see it. Emmanuel, go ahead. Emmanuel, go ahead. Emmanuel. Okay. Yeah, your
Can
hand
you
is
hear me?
struck. Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Oh, I was what I was saying is I just joined, so I would like to have the previous record from the other sections.
Okay. So it's going to get uploaded to the YouTube channel anytime soon. But
Oh,
when it's up, I'm going to let you know.
okay, thank you.
But meanwhile, you can check the group description for like an overview of what we are doing and the content. So I there's a link to a document on the group description. You can take a
Yeah,
look at it.
thank you.
So let's see if they are done. It's probably taking a whole lot of time, but let's see. Okay, yeah, it has person has refreshed it for me, and that's why it works now. So the next thing I want to do is I'll open the lab in an incognito window. So it's good to open it in an incognito window because if you do not open it in an incognito window, you may end up using your personal account for it. When you use your personal account, you can run and let's say you've launched a GCP project with your personal account and you've even linked a billing service to it. So you just end up putting up bills on your own personal account when you're supposed to use a lab for it. So to just keep things safe, better to open it in an incognito stuff. So it takes the username with you and just copy the password, this password I say. So let me close out this chat before I continue. Okay, so that's all. Copy the password here. Paste the password here. So I think you all can see that those the quick class support guys, they are up to the task and they respond almost immediately. So you can agree to this, you can agree and continue. So you have to even agree to this before you can click, but you don't need to agree to the email sending. So this lab is quite descriptive, and what we'll be doing it's outlined. So an overview of the lab is that we are going to use Google Cloud Marketplace to deploy a LAMP stack on Compute Engine. So the LAMP stack, so the Bitnami LAMP stack stand for the L in the LAMP stand for Linux, the A stand for the Apache HTTP server, the M stand for the MySQL, and the P stand for the PHP and the PHP admin. So that's what the LAMP stack does. And what it just do is that it provides a complete web development environment that you can just launch Linux on one click. We are going to be accessing the Bitnami LAMP stack from the cloud marketplace. The cloud marketplace is just like a market, or let's say a store whereby third-party services put their resources there. So anytime you need those resources, you don't need to just go to their personal website and maybe download it to then maybe upload it to the Compute Engine, then upload it to Google Cloud and start working on it. So since it's already on since it's already on Google Cloud, you just need to access it, and it also help you to even have just one billing. So you only pay for it through one avenue. So it's not like you're just paying it. You're just going to pay them, then you now pay again for the Google Cloud. So you more like synchronize a whole lot of things. So this is just how we will sign up, opening an incognito window, then we start the lab, then the username and password I copied, then I open the Google Cloud Console. I've done that. So that is, you can see here, click the user account and copy and paste the stuff so that you are not going to receive errors or incur charges. So if you mistakenly go and use your personal Google Cloud, and fortunately for you it's connected, it can lead to incurring service. So let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is navigate to our marketplace from the navigation menu, marketplace. So I'm just going to make sure I follow the instructions so that you can also see that the instruction is very descriptive. So from marketplace, when you click on marketplace, It's going to load. Then since we are dealing with lamp, so you can click on lamp. And so there are a whole lot of third parties guys that even do their lamp service. So this is lamp by Cento S7. This is lamp by Red Hat. So a whole lot of people. This is lamp by Ubuntu. But what we are interested in, what the lab asks us to use, is to use the lamp package by Bitnami, and this is it here. So the lamp package by Bitnami. So that's why I'm going to click into this, and I'll launch it.
I'm sorry. Am I screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Display of lamp. I don't know.
Oh,
Am I
yeah.
the only person that can't see the display of lamp?
Can't
So,
see the display too. I can't see the display. It's just only this white stuff that we are seeing.
I see. I think I'm sharing only a tab. So when I went to the incognito window, it's not. Oh, so thanks for speaking up. I'm going to stop presenting and present again. Sorry for that, guys. Yeah, so this is the lamp space. So what I've done before here is just let me do a recap. So I was here before. Let's say I was on this thing. This is where I started from. So I clicked on the navigation menu. So after clicking on the navigation menu, I went to marketplace. Then I click on marketplace. Can you confirm that you can see it before I go for that?
Yes.
Okay. Then I type lamp. So I'm looking for lamp package by Bitnami. So when you type just lamp alone, you see a lot of services that also provision lamp for us. So this is maybe lamp by CentOS 7, lamp by Red Hat. But we are looking for the one by Bitnami. So we're just trying to follow the instruction for this app. So it's not like it's a rigid do. If it's one that you are familiar with, you can use that and it works. So then I launch this. So it's going to check if the necessary APIs to have this is available. So because I want to follow the instruction, I'm just going to go back there from the instruction menu. So the next thing we want us to do is for the zone, we should click on the zone that the Quick Lab has assigned to us. So this is the zone that Quick Lab assigned to us, US West 1A. This is the region in US West 1. Then the next thing is, then after that, we'll deploy it. So I'm just going to go back here. We'll change the zone. I'm going to change the zone. So the zone given to me is US West 1A. So I'll change this to US West 1A. Then after that, we can leave this as our default. But let me just explain a bit. This machine type, the machine type we are using here is the N1 series. It's series N1, and this is the machine type. So if you want more memory or more virtual CPUs, you can specify them. You can see this one is 0.5, this one is 1, this one is even higher, and these ones are higher. So depending on your workload, you can specify what you want. But this suffice for what we are doing. And the higher the machine type, the higher the cost. So let me just show you. If I pick something like this, which you can see how my costs ran overboard. This is even showing error. You've gone over the CPU quota. So like, just going to go back and do what I was still to do. So for those of you, like if you are building something which require more service or more compute memory, then there's provision for you. So we want to leave everything here as default. Then after that, we deploy, before deploying. Yeah, so leave the remaining as default, then accept the terms of service, then deploy. So I've accepted this, then I'll deploy. Trying to follow the instruction here to be better. Deploy now. Yep. So it's deploying. Can't see it. And then while that is deploying, let's just go over the next instruction. And if you're welcome to the deployment manager message appear, dismiss it. The status has been deployed. When the deployment of the infrastructure is complete, okay, yeah, so yeah, good. So it's still being deployed. So let's wait for it to get deployed. So when stuffs are loading like this, if you have any question, you can ask. Let's see if I can view the details. And the conference running. Okay, it has been deployed. So the next thing we want to do, let's confirm if what this lab asks us to do has been done. So if you want to confirm if you've completed a particular task, you just click on this to check your progress. Checking your progress would, so this quick lab, it syncs with what I'm doing. So anytime I complete a task there, it's going to sync here and it's going to show that, oh, this task has been completed. You can see that I was on 0 before. So now I've completed it, and that's why I'm on a 10/10. So let's go to the next task. So the next task is to verify our deployment. So let's see if what we've created, if we really created it. So what we are going to do is we're going to like pull up a site and maybe edit the content of the site, and you all will see. So the first thing we want to do is close the configuration tab browser. On the Google Cloud Console, under Get Started with this, click SSH. Then when we SSH, then we CD into this particular directory. So CD into a directory, just the normal Linux command. So what I'm going to do here is I can close this. And come in. So this is the SSH here. So when we SSH into this, SSHing into something means like you want to access it. So you like go into the server. So when I'm in the server, I can now talk with what I have on my Bitnami. So this will be quite exciting to see. Let's just follow through. So the first thing is to CD into this particular directory. After we CD, so you can see that now we are in this part, the OPT and Bitnami. So the next thing we want to do is we want to copy the PHP info.php scripts from the installation directory so that we can publicly access the location under the web server admin. So all these things, they're like configurations files that come with what we deployed. So if I go to Bitnami website now, all these things down there, all these steps, it's going to show there. It's going to show that, oh, if this is the tool I'm using, this is how I can access the tool. So it's going to show it. So it's not necessary for you to memorize all these things that you probably do not even need to memorize it. So I copy this code and paste it here. And I click on enter. So after that, the next thing I want to do is I can just close the SSH command with exit. Now we are close this SSH command. And the next thing I want to do is I'll open a new browser. Then I'll paste the site address of this lamp stack and see what is going to show there. So I'm going to copy this. When I copy this first, then I'll open a new browser here. Let me open it from my incognito and I paste it here. So I would replace this site address with the site address that's showing on my deployment. So there should be a site address here. You can see the site address. This is what I'm going to copy. I just go from here directly. And I copy this there. I can just then put it here also. And click on enter. This is not going. Song coming. So I think I'm just trying to refresh it. So if that does not work, just going to this site address from here, it also works. So from here we can get started with our Bitnami, but let's keep following the instruction. So a summary of the PHP configuration of our server is displayed. So this can just say get started, can click get started, and you see the documents that are needed. If you want to maybe also connect to this, can also connect to it. So the documentation and the support, everything are on here. So this is typically how you can deploy a Bitnami LAMP stack on Google Cloud Console, and from there you can easily use anything you want to do on it. So this is basic, like really basic. But like for some people, when they install a Bitnami LAMP stack, since it comes with, just going to go back here, since it comes with a whole lot of things here, which are the Linux operating system, the Apache HTTP web server, a MySQL, a PHP. So they can even use it as a relational database. You can create a table on it. You can even do a Apache web server for you can host their website on it also, because it has Apache web server in it. So there are a lot of functionalities that LAMP can do. But this is just the basic lab to just see how we can deploy it, and after that we can get started into using it. Is that clear? Any questions or thoughts before we go to the next one? Is anyone raising up your hand? Okay, that's fine. So if there's no question, what we are going to do is after you are done with your lab, the next thing you want to do is you want to close it. So to close the lab, you click on End Lab. So after ending lab, then you submit. So you can write a comment, any comment you want to do. Start. Submit. So what do we rate it before? And that's it. So it's always good to close your lab. If you forget to close it, after the time elapsed, it's going to close. And if you are doing a lab and maybe you could not finish during the time that is allocated to it, then it's also get closed. Then you maybe have to like start again. But more often than not, the time they will give you would be more than enough. So upon that, I was even explaining and talking in between. I could still complete it between the timeline. So because we still have a whole lot of things to do, let's keep going. So the next one we want to do is want to get started with VPC networking and computer engine. So this will probably be a little bit more hands-on than the previous one. So getting started with VPC, we can tell us the first procedure. So I'm going to cancel out on this. Anybody to tell us the first procedure? Probably start the lab, open an incognito window before we get started. So just the same thing here. Click on Start Lab. Then I open this in an incognito window so that I do not incur charges on my personal account, and copy the password. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the dashboard. This is the typical dashboard on Google Cloud. And these are the services that you want to use. There are a whole lot of services here. So you can even go to more products, and each service even have their own maybe segmentation. You can see computes. This is where we are going, but let me just go to some other things. This is serverless, this is storage, database, integration service, there's networking. I'm going to touch here also. This is operations. This is for like monitoring and logging. there's CI/CD parts, there's tools, there's analytics. For those of us who they want to do something about data. So this is analytics service. This is a data warehouse, Speakway. So for those of us who do data analysis too, there's Visual Studio Code, there's Google Data Studio. That's like a dashboard reporting stuff. There's also Looker. Looker is also like a dashboard reporting stuff. So this for AI, for those of us who are doing AI, there's different AI tools and Google Cloud, a whole lot. And there are also these are partner solutions from third parties. This is Apache Kafka. And you can also go to the cloud marketplace like I showed you before and see if any third-party services are available. And you can use them directly on Google Cloud. So to not get carried away. For this, the overview of this lab, is we're trying to see how the complete engine virtual machine instance works, and would explore the default VPC network, we'll create an auto mode network with necessary firewall rule, we'll create a virtual machine instance using complete engine, and we'll also explore the connectivity of the virtual machines. So you probably have a whole lot of things to do here. So let's get started. The first thing we want to do is explore the default network. So typically, and more often than not, when you launch a Google Cloud project, it comes with the default networks. And the default network has presence in all subnets. So you can notice the default network with the subnet. So it will have subnet in almost all regions that are available on Google Cloud. So let's see it. From the navigation menu, VPC network, then VPC network. Click on VPC network. So this is the default network that comes with it. So you can see that I've not created anything. This comes with it. And when I click into it to see the subnets, see that it has subnets in different regions. This is US Central 1, Europe West 1, US West 1, Asia East 1. So a whole lot of regions. It has subnetting almost all the regions that are present on Google Cloud. That's just the default network that comes with it for each and every project. Okay, so we can also view the routes. So taking a look at the routes. What's the routes here? Clicking into this. So you can see more details here. You can see more details about the subnetwork. So the way IP address works, is that when you have 0.0.0.0, this is like a general IP address range. So there's typically no IP address that would not fall into this range. But when I have like 128.1.1 here, so and I have 0 as the fourth digit. So what this means is that all the IP address that will fit into this category must start with 128.1.1. Then from here, it can take any value within the accepted range. So that's typically how IP address works and how you can see the subnets of the region that an IP address can cover. So you can check the firewall rules for our default network also. If you want to go to the firewall rules, when you go to the firewall rules here from this navigation menu, so you'd see the firewall rules that are set on it. So this is allow ICMP, this is allow internal. So this allow ICMP means that we can connect to this instance. So each of them has their own connectivity access that you give us. This allow SSH, allow us to SSH into this server. This default allow HackDP. So HackDP works with Microsoft remote desktop clients. So that's what it works for. So it also shows us that for a Microsoft remote desktop client, you can also connect into this default server. And this allow internal means there can be connections between internal services also into this one. So these are the firewall rules that are here. If you take a look at the routes that we were talking about the other time, so you see the routes and you see the destination IP. So something like this now, a IP that would more often than not fit into this route would have 10.140 Then for this one that has 0, it can be 1. And this one can also be 1. So it will have, but it must start with this 10.140 because these are already specified. But if it's just 0 or 2, then you have the freedom to pick from each and every one of them. Yeah, so let's keep going. Before I move further, like, does it make sense? Is it helpful? Yeah, so feel free to talk. I know our time is going, but I'll try to go faster.
It's helpful.
Okay. Yeah, so the next thing we want to do is we'll delete those firewall rules that we've created. That were there before, so we did not create them. Those firewalls that came with it. So from the firewall rule, click on the firewall rule. So I'm going to delete everything. Then I click on delete. Just following the instruction, and I'll show you the effect of us deleting all this. So deleting all the firewall rules. So when it's deleted, it's going to tell us. You can check the notification here. You can see deleted this SSH, internal SCMP, and BP. That's deleted of the firewall. So the next thing we want to do is also we'll delete the default network. So, and you would notice that when we delete the firewall rule now, the default network, when you go to this VPC network, the home page, you see that the default network is still here, but the firewall will have changed to 0. But when I delete this default, when I delete the VPC network now, you'd even see that we do not even have all these routes that are here. They are going to go away. So there'll probably be nothing on the VPC. So the next thing is to after deleting the firewall, then we delete the default network. So to delete the default network, click on it. After clicking on it, then delete it. So delete the VPC. So it's also going to get deleted. You can follow the notification here to see what's happening. Yeah, so as we go along, we'll try to do interactive stuff also that will like be logical for us, and we'll even see the results of it as we are doing it. So that's just pretty fundamental stuff. Okay, it's deleting is taking a while. So we have to be conversant of our time here, so we probably have a lot of time there, but we'll finish before we go on, before the time elapses. So anytime you notice maybe it's taking long, you can just refresh so that maybe there's no glitch happening somewhere. So you can click on refresh. So now the network is deleted, and when we go to the firewall rule, there's no firewall. When we go to the root, this just refresh this. So when you refresh this, you can see that there are no roots here. So there'll probably be no IP address also. So the VPC network is empty now. Okay. So then the next thing we want to do is we want to create a virtual machine. So typically, this should not work because for us to create a virtual machine, you know, when we were reading about virtual machine, for us to create a virtual machine, there has to be like a VPC network where a virtual machine will get created. So let's try creating a virtual machine. So following the instruction here, navigation menu, complete engine, VM instance to get a virtual machine. So let's see it. Let's just see it. When you go to the navigation menu once again, then from your compute engine, virtual machines, would attempt creating a new virtual machine, and you'd see that we are unable to create it because we do not have a VPC network. So let's see, create virtual machine. So you can leave this name as it is. You can leave all this as it is. Screen board instruction. So you can, when you go down here, there's an advanced option. Look at the networking. You'd also see that there's no network here. So the network here. From here, There's no network interface in this project. So that's like typically why it's not going to work. If you click on add a network interface, because we don't have any network interface created already, no VPC network, it's not going to work. So let's try to create. If we try to create, it will say make sure the fields are correct to continue. And this field cannot be correct because there's no network on it at the moment. So that's just like typically why we cannot create a virtual machine instance without having a network, without having a VPC network on our device. So if you want to try it again, click on create, you can see that it's not going at all. So that's proving our theory. So the next thing we want to do is now we would create a VPC network and a virtual machine instance. So you would see that when we create a VPC network, then we can now create a virtual machine instance. So for this VPC network, I'm going to name it my network. So from here, to create a VPC network, you go back to the VPC. Don't forget that we have to have a VPC before we can create a virtual machine. From our VPC, then create a VPC network. I'm going to, you ask us to name it my network. You can name it any name. So want us to use a automatic subnet creation mode. So we don't want to like create it by ourselves. We are using an automatic here. For the firewall rule, would select all the firewall rules. Okay. So that's the firewall rule. For the firewall, we select everything. So if you are conversant, these are typically the firewall rule that we had on the default network. We have the halal custom, we have the ICMP, RDP, and the SSH. So this one was named internal, but yeah, it's custom because it's a custom virtual machine. It's a custom VPC and not the default one. So select all this. The next thing, after that, we click on create. So let's click on create. And when you click on create, you see that it's creating our VPC network. It's loading. Sometimes it takes a while to load, but hopefully it's fast today. You can see the notification here. And when you are creating, you can refresh. So it's stateless. Refreshing will not spoil what you've done as far as it's already loading. Can refresh as many times as possible. So let's keep going over this while we wait. So after it gets created, then we would have IP ranges for what we have. Are you done? No, you're done. Okay, so it's created already. So when you click on it also, more often than not, most of what we have in the previous ones would be here. And these are the firewalls that we specified. So which is fine. So explore the IP address range for the subnet in US East 1. Okay, so take a look at something. So if you go to US East 1, this is US East 1. And you can see the range of the IP address. This is 10.142.0.0. So you can note it somewhere. It's just for us to see. It's just for us to see the IP address that is going to get created for us, and you see that it will be from this range because this is the subnet in this range for this lab. So US East 1. Let's take a note of it. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a virtual machine in US East 1 now. So since we are creating a virtual machine in US East 1, to take a similar the IP address of that virtual machine will take a similar range with the IP address that we took note of. So to create a virtual machine, from the navigation menu, compute engine, So now we have a VPC network, so we should be able to create a virtual machine. So compute engine, virtual machine. Then you click on create new virtual machine or create an instance. So what name do they want us to use? They want us to use MyNet USVM. MyNet USVM. They change this. So MyNet USVM, and they want us to use a region of US East 1 and US East 1B. So US East 1, yes. They want us to use a machine series of E2 and E2 micro and 1 gigabyte memory. So let's see. So this is 4. I'm going to change it to the 1. Yeah, 1 gigabyte memory. So then after that, let's see. So we can leave the remaining settings as their defaults. So the remaining settings can stay at their defaults here. Then you click on create. So you can see the amounts. If this amount also, it can differ depending on the region. So some regions are like lower. So when they say a region is lower, so some regions that maybe the data center and that particular region is carbon neutral. So their prices tend to be lower than a region that the data center is, so it's run on a facility that is not carbon neutral. So I think they're like using maybe the expenses that they also use to power the data centers reflect in the costs, and also all these machine types reflect in the cost. If you choose a bigger virtual machine type, you'd see that the cost would increase. So if we take this now, let's see, you can see the cost just buckled up to 27. So let's keep being modest and choose our 1 gigabyte. Then click on create. It's creating our virtual machine instance. Any question along the line? Let's see if it's done. We typically may not need to even wait for it to create finish. To just create. So when I said take note of the IP address in US East 1, so you can see that this is from a subnet of that. So the ranges there was 10.142.0.0/0, and look at what it got assigned for us, 10.142.0.2. So can you all see? It's fine. So from the instruction, we would also create a new virtual machine instance, but this one will be created in Aeropress 2. So Aeropress 2, Aeropress 2C. So let me just copy the name so that we'll do it together. So the next thing, just a repeat of what we did before. You create a new virtual machine. You change the name. By changing the name, we are supposed to create this in, who can remember the region? I forgot. Yeah, let's just check it. So Aeropress 2, Aeropress 2C. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so this is what I'm saying. There are some regions that are like low. You can see this low CO2. This low CO2 means it's running on low carbon, and typically the price will be lesser than another one. So let's take a look at it. So when I click on this Belgium now, let's see the price. I'll typically not change any other thing. So this is 27.91. Let me pick a new region and let's see the price here. Let's pick London. You can see 32.71. So that's because that region uses lower stuff, just like I explained the other time. So they want us to pick Aeropress 2 and Aeropress 2C. Okay, that's fine. And they want us to choose a 1 gigabyte memory. We're going to choose a 1 gigabyte memory. Then we can leave the rest in their defaults. So the machine type and the zone or the region that you're choosing influences your costs. But also don't just go for where it's cheaper. Try to go for a region and a zone that is also closer to your end users. for faster throughputs and lower latency typically. So click on create here. So when we create this one also, it's going to get set. Why it get created, so we can see. So one thing we are going to do here is that it want us to note the external IP address for both virtual machines because they are ephemeral. Ephemeral means something that is not permanent, like that means ephemeral, just normal English. But in this case, what it's telling us is that those external IP address for this instance, sometimes when you stop your instance and restart it, this external IP address can change. If you don't want it, and sometimes it may not actually change. Sometimes it can change, sometimes it may not actually change. But if you don't want it to change, what you can do is you can reserve a static external IP address. So when you reserve a static external IP address, but that's more cost for sure. So that's more cost. When you reserve a static external IP address, that way, if you stop your instance and restart it, it's still going to keep the IP address. So let me just take a note of this somewhere. Just copy it and put it on my browser. So the first one I'll open will be for the first one. Then the second one I will use will be for the second one. So yeah, let's keep going. Let's see if we've completed these tasks. So we've created a VPC network and a virtual machine. Let's see if we've done that. Yeah, so you can see that we've completed it. So the next thing we want to do is we want to explore the connectivity of the virtual machine. So we want to access a virtual machine from another virtual machine. We want to see if we can talk to one. If they can talk to one another. Don't forget that we allowed them SSH, we allowed ICMP, we allowed RDP, and we also allowed the custom firewall on those on the VPC that we created. So let's see the effect of it here. So the next thing is we would SSH into the US virtual machine. So when we SSH into the US virtual machine, we would now see if we can talk to the one in the EU. So we'd SSH into the US, would see if we can talk to the one in the in the EU. So to do that, click go to the US. So this is the US. Click on this SSH. Click on this SSH. So when you click on the SSH, we'll now try to talk to the one in EU with the IP address. So we SSH into this one, we'll see if we can talk to this. Okay. So the next thing we are going to do is for us to test if we can talk to that, what we are going to do is we are going to ping at it through this command. So this is the command to ping. Ping just means see if you can connect a packet with a network, if there's a connection between those packets. And how we can talk to it is by using the internal IP address. So we are using the internal IP address of the European Union. Don't forget that we are on the US. We are inside the US. So we want to talk to the Europe one, and we'll copy the internal IP address of the one in the Europe. So to do that, copy this. When you go to our SSH command line, this is set for us. So to see if we can connect it, paste the code here, then change this one to the EU's internal IP address. I'm going to copy it. To copy the EU internal IP address, this is the internal IP address of the EU. I'm going to copy it here. Start copying it, I'm going to paste it here. Then enter. Let's see. Yeah, so you can see that they could connect to one another. This is what you are seeing here: ticket packet transmitted, ticket packet received. So it could talk to it. So we are pinging 3 times, and this is it. The 3 times that we pinged that it's connected. So there was 0%. There was 0 packet loss, which shows that there's a connection between both of them. So the next thing we are going to do is that we would go into the other one and also see if we can talk to the first one. So we SSH into this one. Let's SSH into this one this second time by clicking the SSH here. So when you click the SSH, it's loading. So then I'm now going to ping into this particular one here. So copy the ping command. And from here again, when you click on this, we'll just replace with the internal IP address of this other one. So when you copy the internal IP address of this one, don't forget that this is what we SSH into. So I'll copy the internal IP address of this other one. Then when I paste it here, let's see if there's a connection. Yeah, there's also a connection here. So there's a connection between both of them. And that is because we've allowed the necessary firewall rule here. Yeah, let's keep going. Oh, we are running out of time. Oh, yeah, good. So which firewall will allows to ping to the mainnet EU's external IP address? So you can tell us the firewall that allows to ping into it. Anybody?
The last.
I don't think it's the last one. So what the last one does is that it allows us to SSH into that particular stuff. So the last one is the one that enables us to SSH here. So if you do not allow that firewall, when you click on SSH, it's just low and you say error not, it will say not connected. It's not going to launch this page. So any other person to try?
The first one, the one, the my network dash allow dash custom.
Dash custom. Okay, so yeah, let's see. But I think it's even here. You can ping into the mainnet EUVM internal. That's the internal. You can ping into the internal because there's a allow custom firewall. But why can we ping into the external? It's because of the ICMP. There's the ICMP that allows to ping into the external. When you click on it, click submit. So it's this one, the firewall would allow us to ping into the external, but it's this allow custom. You know, on the default, it was showing at allow internal before. There's this one that allows us to ping into the internal IP address, and this is what allows us to ping into the external IP address. So one thing we'll do now is that just to be very sure, I use the internal IP address on both of them. Let me use the external IP address for one of them and see if we can access it before I now stop the firewall rule. I'll try to speed up a bit because I know some of us may have some other things to do. But I think it's quite interactive, right? So when I copy this, I'm going to change this to the external IP address, and you'll also see that screen. So is it not still the internal that I copied? The external, so let's copy this. So you can see when I also use the external IP address, it also works. So 3 packet transmitted, 3 packets received, 0 packet missed, which is what we want to do. Dismiss this. Dismiss this. What's happening? Okay, let's go back to where we had before. Okay, we are here. So the next thing I want to do is I want to remove the ICMP firewall rule. So when I remove the ICMP firewall rule, the effect is that I should not be able to ping into the one that removes this firewall. I should not be able to ping from the external IP address, but I should still be able to ping from the internal. Is that clear? Well, let's see. So what I'm going to do is from the firewall rule, I'll delete the my network allow ICMP rule for the mainnet EU's VM. So to do that, from the navigation menu, just click on this, then go to the VPC. VPC, yeah. When you're on the VPC, then firewall rule. Then what we are going to do is, let me look at the instruction once again. So I'd select this and I'll delete this particular firewall rule, this one, ICMP. then I can delete it. When it's deleted, then we'll try to SSH once again. Okay, it's deleted. You can go back to this one. You can just refresh it so that's up to date. So the firewall has reduced to 3. It was 4 before. It has reduced to 3. So the next thing I want to do is I'll return to this mainnet US virtual machine. Then I'll try to talk to the internal, and you see that the internal will go. But when I try to talk to the external, we should see that it shouldn't go. So this is what I'm going to do. Let me go back to my SSH instance for the. Okay, I'm going to the SSH instance for the. I'm going to the SSH instance for the US. So this is the EU here. I'll just cancel out this. Then this is the one for the US. So what I'm going to do is just going to ping once again. So I'm pinging from the US. So I want to talk to the one in the European Union. So let's first copy the internal IP address. So I can just then get this from our Compute Engine VM instance. I get this from our Compute Engine VM instance. So this is the internal IP address. And wait, let's confirm what I'm doing. I'm on the US, so I'll copy the one for the EU. This is the one for the EU. I'll copy it. So I replace this with what I copied. Then it should also go because I did not cancel the allow custom. So it's can see that it went. There's 3 packets transmitted, 3 packets received. So let's try for the external IP address, which should not go. So I'm going to copy this external IP address, copying it, then I'll paste it here. Let's see. Yep. So looking at it, you can see 3 packets transmitted, 0 received. So it could not receive any packet. It could not receive any connection between them. And it's showing that 100% packet loss. So there was no connection between it. And that's because we've removed the firewall rule that could allow connection to the external IP address. So that just means typically if you have a service that you don't want people to connect from outside your network, or you don't want people to connect from outside your GCP network, then you can just remove or deny the ICMP rule, the ICMP firewall rule. Yeah, so that's just it. And this is it here. So the next thing we are going to do is I'm also going to remove the custom firewall rule. And you'll notice that we cannot even connect to it internally. So let me just do that once again. So to remove the, are you all following? Are you following? Hello? Yeah, so anybody to guide me on how to remove the firewall rule. So I want to remove the firewall rule. I want to remove it.
Yes.
What should I do? What should I do? From the navigation menu, you can keep guiding me. Can I go to the network? Okay, then firewall rule. Yeah, you can just click on it. Okay. So from there, then this is what I want to remove. So I'll click on it and I'll delete it. So when I delete it, then I'll try to ping into it through the internal IP address, and you'd see that it's not going to work also. So I've deleted it and it has been deleted. So let me just come here and ping to the internal IP address. I'm on the US, so I'll copy the EU. To get my IP address once again, I'll go to the Compute Engine virtual machine instance. So you just see that I'm on the US, so I'll copy the EU one. the internal IP address. We've already ascertained that the external is not working after we remove the firewall. So let's see for the internal. Yep. So you can see 3 packet transmitted, 0 received, 100% packet loss. That means no connection could be established once again. And I think that's all for this. Oh, okay. So let's remove the SSH firewall rule also. And you even notice that we cannot even XSH into the terminal at all. So for that to work, I'm just going to exit. So let me exit from the SSH. So I've exited from the XSH. So and look at it now. When I click on this, you can see that I can still SSH. So let's see if I can still SSH. If I now cancel the firewall. Let's see. Yeah, you can see that I can still connect. So exit once again. And let's go delete the firewall rule now. That's the same way VPC network, firewall rule direct. So from here, this is what allows us to SSH. So when I click on this guy and delete it, it's just going to allow me to delete. Okay, we are good. So the next thing is to go back to our compute engine and virtual machine instance. So we are back here. So let's see if we can SSH into it. This one, let's see if we can SSH into it. So you can even see the connection will most likely fail. Virtual machine firewall will allow you TCP ingress traffic from this port on this. It's not present. So let's see if the magic can happen or not. It may take a while, boys. I think it's definitely going to fail. But let's see. Yep. So we are unable to connect to the virtual machine on port 22. This is to show that without the SSH firewall, then we cannot SSH into the virtual machine instance. Yeah, and that's typically everything for the lab. So an overview of what we've done. We explored the default network at first, and we create a VPC net. Then we saw that we could not create a VPC network. Or we saw that we could not create a virtual machine network without having a VPC network. So we all ascertained that. And after that, we now created a new VPC network. So when we created a new VPC network, we could now create a virtual machine instance. So after that, we now played with the firewall rule. And the first firewall we worked with was the ICMP. So the ICMP allows external connection. The custom or the internal allows internal connection. And the allow SSH firewall rule even gives us the permission to either SSH into that instance or become unable to SSH into the instance. So that's typically what we've done. And after that, we are done. So I'm just going to end my lab. And you can see my score here. I have the full score. So end my lab, then submit. So I think this lab is actually cool. So give it a 5/5. Cloud Bootcamp. Yep. Oh, I think you all that waited to this moment are the real OG. And thanks very much for waiting. Yeah, I see your hand raised. Ask the question.
So just wanted to ask, all these practical labs that you just did now, where can we access them? Like the link, so that we can also do it in our free time.
Yeah, so you can access it. You cannot access it without having a credit. So that's the issue. And so typically you buy credits. typically you buy credit. So that's how it works. Typically you buy credit, but we are trying to see if we can get maybe 30 days free access to for everyone, so that you don't need to like buy credit. But that's still in works, and maybe till like the middle of this month before I can give you like a definitive response. So this is just something. But if you don't want to wait till then and you want to purchase credit, I'm trying to see if I can show you. So when you go to the Cloud Skill Boost platform, so typically if you don't have credit, you have zero credit. Just like me, I do not have credit. So this is zero credit. So if you want to buy credit, I think you can buy it from two ways. So when you click on this subscription, you can buy a monthly subscription also for $29, and it's to give you accessibility to it for 30 days, and this is an annual subscription. So if you also want to buy individual credit, but I think the individual credit is not it's not what would I say? I'd say it's not efficient. Yeah, it's not some credit for $1, and that's ridiculous. Sorry, but that's ridiculous. Google should not come and carry. But it's a little bit ridiculous buying 30 credits for $30. So it's more of like pays you, even like if it's better, like in case maybe after the 30 days free access that we even get finished and you want to keep working on the lab, I'll just say it's more efficient to purchase a subscription, because with this monthly subscription, if you like operate on different labs of over 500 credits, it's still just this $29 that you'll be charged for the whole month that you subscribe to. So that's more efficient than buying it just one. So that's like my advice. But like I said, we are still like working to see if we can get the credits for 30 days. So I suppose for it to work, so it may take like the middle of this month before we are able to get the credits, or maybe before the first 10 days of this month. But you'd also have the credits for like starting from when you get access for the next 30 days. So even after the boot camp, the credit will still work for you. So that's everything from me. I'm going to share the assignment on the call with everyone. I don't want to keep us waiting for more than this, because you all have really tried for staying till this moment. And I'll just share the assignment against them Friday on the WhatsApp channel. Any other questions before we drop off? Thanks very much, you all, for staying. If there's no question, I'll probably end the call. Yeah. So thanks very much. Thanks for those of you who helped me admit others into the lab. And thanks for everyone for showing up. So, what's the difference between GCP and Cloud Skill Boost? So, Cloud Skill Boost is like a learning platform, and the learning platform gives you access to the console. So if you pay for credits, it gives you access to the console, and that is why I could launch a lab from the Cloud Skill Boost. And when you see that I'm launching a lab, so let me just show you something here. When I'm from this place, for me to start a lab, so when I click on start it, I don't want to start this lab again because I've done it before. When I click on start this lab, it's going to open a resource for me that would enable me to connect to the console. And that is why when I go to my incognito window, what you are seeing here is a different browser. It's like a console, like a console browser that is there. So that is why it's a different something entirely. It just links you to the other one. Another question. Erasmus. Okay, Erasmus left already. Yeah, so bye guys. See you on Friday.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much for showing up.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, sir.